If you live in Lakewood, Toms River, or Jackson, a version of a wet market is headed your way in late September. Until earlier this year, most people had never heard of the term wet market, but the coronavirus pandemic has thrust it into the limelight. A wet market in Wuhan, China, called the Huanan Seafood Wholesale Market, is widely believed to be the source of COVID-19. Somewhat akin to a farmer's market, wet markets are typically large collections of open-air environments selling, amongst other things, live chickens that are slaughtered to order. In China, they're a staple of daily life for many, but here in Ocean County, one will be arriving in late September. At least in China, the chickens are used for food, whereas here in Lakewood, the chickens are sacrificed to atone for human sin and oftentimes wind up in trash bags or dumpsters. This year, between September 21st and September 27th, there will be a wet market of sorts operating in numerous locations throughout Lakewood, Toms River, and Jackson. It's called Kaporos, and it can at times rival the most revolting scenes witnessed in the wet markets of China, with the added twist of inhumane treatment of the chickens before they are tortured and killed. Kaporos is an Orthodox Jewish ritual that takes place in the days leading up to Yom Kippur, the holiday of atonement after the Rosh Hashanah. Last year, thousands of chickens were brought into Lakewood on flatbed trailers from out of state. The chickens were kept in holding crates with no room to move, no food to eat, and no water to drink. In some cases, those chickens remained in those crates for 3 to 4 days before they were finally sold to individuals wishing to participate in the ritual. The ritual entails a chicken being swung over a participant's head 3 times while a prayer is said. Through the prayer, the chicken is supposed to absorb the sins of the participant, and then the bird's throat is slit. Chickens are often cruelly held by their wings broken back behind their backs while being swung. The ritual of Kaporos is not discussed in the Torah or the Talmud, and it wasn't until the 9th century when a handful of Jewish scholars claimed that since the Hebrew word gever means both man and rooster, punishment of the bird could be substituted for that of a human. Practitioners of Kaporos claim that the chickens killed in the event are donated to charity for food, but this is often not the case, with birds' bodies strewn about the streets and in the yards of vacant houses or tossed in piles of trash. The claim of the food donation is the argument upon which recent court rulings have found the practice to be protected under a First Amendment right to practice religion freely. It should be noted that it is widely accepted in Orthodox Judaism that substituting money in the place of a chicken not only satisfies the ritual, but the money is then actually donated to local charities. A group called the Alliance to End Chickens as Kaporos filed a lawsuit in 2015 in New York City, seeking to force the New York Police Department to enforce what they felt were violations of animal cruelty and public health law. The argument was made that the police and the city health department do not have discretion regarding enforcement, whereas the NYPD and health department argued that they did. The case was dismissed at the lower court level, but was brought before the New York State Appellate Division in June of 2017. The lower court ruling was affirmed on a 3-2 vote, with the dissenting justices arguing that the plaintiffs have a right to the relief that they seek. In new papers filed in Manhattan Supreme Court on July 6, 2020, the group seeks to revive the lawsuit against the city health department in light of the current pandemic. A pandemic-causing virus such as COVID-19 can be caused by a live animal wet market, which involves uncontrolled and poorly understood interactions between humans and intensely confined, filthy, sick, and diseased animals, which is what Kaporos is and does, said attorney Nora Constance Marino. Pandemics are caused by human behaviors that in hindsight are highly questionable, coupled with a flawed public health approach and social policies. Last year in Lakewood, chickens clearly exhibiting symptoms of the infectious bursal disease were sent to a state testing lab on the recommendation of 2 local veterinarians. Although the results came back inconclusive, the symptoms of trembling, ruffled feathers, huddling, and vent pecking were all present. A ruling in the matter is expected any day now as to whether or not the New York State Supreme Court will allow the case to be reopened. We will be watching it closely before formulating a plan on behalf of residents of Ocean County and the thousands of chickens that will otherwise be treated inhumanely and then ultimately sacrificed for no reason other than tradition.